Hello everyone, I am Kavita Agrawal and I am back with another stock for the 100 days series. So the first video that we shot was about Havells, and let's take a quick update on what's happened there, and then we will continue with the second stock which I will be revealing short. So Havells, we can see we discussed this when it was around 1585, and now it has declined, or actually it was above 1600. Now it has declined. The orange line was our entry level. It triggered that, but if you see, the momentum was quite high. So on my end, there was no trade taken in Havells. The overall market has also been pretty bearish lately, so I'm being extremely cautious in taking trades. And right now, my portfolio is 50% cash. A while back, what I noticed or got the alert that the stop loss on this setup has been triggered. The stop loss was based on this previous low and then some buffer. Now, since the overall market is quite bearish, the price is showing negative momentum. However, if you take a look at the RSI here, I can clearly see that the 75-minute time frame had sustained above the level of 60, establishing a positive breakout. And now, even though the price has created a lower low, it is still, the RSI is still above the level of 40. So what I want to do is I will set this alert at 30 for 75-minute RSI, and I will call it 100 days alert. For now, we'll come up with better nomenclatures, but for now, we'll go with that. So this way, I will know that it is part of the 100 days series, and this is something we discussed on the video, and that is why I'm getting the alert, because God knows when it will come, right? It's possible that the stock continues to decline. It is possible that the stock reverses up from here. So in the situation that the stock reverses up from here, then I want to know if this entry level, 100-day entry level, is crossed. Okay, so I'm going to set an alert there. We are going to keep this trade setup for now, but we will entertain this trade setup when it gets activated. That is this green bar that you're seeing, right, where I had set up my entry level based on this pullback from this peak all the way to this peak, the previous peak, right? This was our entry criteria. So if the stock starts to go above it, then we will consider going long again. So this higher high, I'm going to pull down to this level just so it is above these. So if it goes above this or above this, I'll get an alert, and then we will determine how to continue in the stock. So let's move to the stock that I have decided to discuss for today, that is KPIT. Now, one thing that I want to clarify about swing trading is that it's never straightforward with swing trading. Very rarely we find opportunities where we buy and we sell and we make money. A lot of times with trading, because timing matters so much, we will have to stay very, very patient. Now, for example, there is a stock called Chola Holdings, right? So the full name is Cholamandalam Financial Holding Limited. Now, this is a very good company, right? And I can see that there is a turnaround coming here. But in the attempt to get hold of this turnaround, I have been hitting multiple stop losses, which is completely okay with me, because see, on the 75-minute time frame, I can see that here the stock was in a very strong bearish range, right? And now it has started to give subtle turnaround signals. For example, the 75-minute RSI is breached above the level of 60. Then when it came back, it sustained on 40. Again, it went up. Again, it sustained on 40. So it is showing signs of positive range shift. But when that shift is actually going to come, we don't know yet. So whenever it comes down, I make a position with a stop loss, and see what we just saw in Havells, that during the correction, the previous low got breached, and then we saw turnaround. We saw a stop loss trigger, right? So here also something very similar happened, but what is very likely is that this stock, the way it has rebounded, there is a likelihood that this was just a whiplash, and the stock is going to establish a bullish trend as soon as the market sentiments improve, broader market sentiments improve. But until that happens, we can't really do anything. We need to stay patient. So we'll discuss Chola Holdings in more detail some other day. Today, let's focus on KPIT. Now, if you notice here, the broad trend in KPIT on the weekly time frame is clearly very, very bullish, right? And this is the daily chart. Let me clear out all the drawings. I really like this stock and I have been holding it since a very, very long time. And let's start the analysis from the weekly time frame. So I have activated the alert by pressing Alt T or Options T for Mac users. And here the latest trend that I'm seeing is this. So I'm trying to capture the key highs and the key lows using a parallel trend line to the very first trend line that I drew. And I can see that the second trend line as well as the first trend line have a lot of points at which the price interacted with the line. But is that really so relevant? Let's see. Okay, so the primary trend line has been broken, and if you see this blue line, this is the 250 EMA, which has acted as support in the past, but currently it is acting as resistance, and 3 times already the stock has taken resistance. So why am I discussing this stock if things are looking so bearish? The trend line has been breached, the 250 EMA has been breached and is acting as resistance. The reason is momentum. If you look at the RSI here, there is a positive divergence on the weekly time frame, and moreover the weekly time frame on this point has tested the level of 30, which establishes that the negative momentum peak has already occurred here, and now there is a potential reversal coming around in the momentum. So momentum reverses before the price reverses. So price reversal is not very evident yet, but momentum reversal is starting to appear in KPIT. So this is the daily time frame, this is the weekly time frame, and now the 75-minute time frame. Now what are we seeing on the 75-minute time frame? So this is where we had noted the negative or the bearish momentum peak on the daily time frame, and the same is true also for the 75-minute time frame. You'll see the RSI here breached below the level of 30, and since then we've seen more decline. So typically when the RSI breaches the level of 30, always expect another leg of downside, and until and unless a stable low is not forged, don't entertain the stock. Here if you see the more recent 75-minute time frame price activity, even though the price has created lower lows, the RSI started to create higher lows. The higher low is above the level of 40, which is very reassuring, right? Now here what do we again see? That since this sharp decline, okay, if you look at, this was clearly the negative range. This was the peak of the negative range, and then this was the first indication that things might be getting better. Then the price or RSI momentum again declined, tested 30, went up, declined again, breached 30 but very, very slightly, and then you see the price went higher, and then the price created a low below the previous low. Level of 30 was breached here, so we should expect a low, but the momentum sustained above, almost close to the level of 40. Right now it has given a sharp bounce up and given a pullback, so we see a trade setup developing here, right? So positive momentum is kind of being established. So what I want to do is I want to take this as my stop loss. So I'm going to move this and I'm going to change the number of this coordinates to 299 so that it matches with the latest candle, and I'm going to set the alert as stop loss 100-day series, right? What would my potential entry price be? Should I dare to enter right now because the market is quite weak, or should I wait for a better setup? I think we can probably see a slightly better entry somewhere around that level. Let's make it orange. And then on the target side, so where should the target be expected should this be a true reversal, right? So this rally that we saw, where did this rally end up? This rally ended up around this price. And why is this price significant? I would say it's significant because of this point. So this is the point where the previous momentum high was forged, out of which the previous momentum high was forged. So the price actually took a bump here and then further moved up. So this becomes a very important support for the price and now resistance. So that is why the previous rally, I believe, stopped here. But since this rally has been tested but not breached, the first target is going to be this same resistance level. And if this resistance level does get breached, then before this, where was the peak? I would say this was the peak, or let's say this was the peak, right? And then this peak was forged out of what? This peak was forged out of the base. So for this one, we took this, which if you see on the RSI is a very, very small tent, right? So for this high or this high over here, I wouldn't consider this, as it's a little, you see there is a negative divergence within this, right? So the real momentum peak was around this level, and this momentum peak was forged out of this low. So this is where I would expect the next target to be. So these are the two targets that I would play with. To be more conservative, in fact, I would move it a little bit lower and place it there. Let's take a look at what this trade setup looks like. If that's my potential entry price, then this becomes my stop loss, this becomes my target. And because I can see the risk reward ratio is more than 3, this becomes a pretty viable target. Now I have my baby monitor on and I can see that my daughter is starting to wake up. So I'm going to go and attend her. But we are done with the video. This is what I wanted to discuss with you today. I will also, before I leave, set up an alert entry price 100-day series. So this is what I want to do. Here on KPIT, I want to update my activity. So I will move this to my other screen. So KPIT date of analysis, we've updated the date of analysis here. So I'm going to change this date. This should actually be Monday. Spot price. So we are trying to enter at 1277. Currently the price is 1314. You know what? I think it'll be better to mention entry price separately here, and the spot price will basically become the price of the market right now. So the move percentage becomes 0. The entry price video link I will post when this gets posted. Stop loss I have set is 1217.5. Target is 1475. The first one, 1620 is the second one. So this, you are seeing this risk reward ratio as 1.6 because it is taking into consideration the LTP, not the entry price. But if I change this formula from F to E and this also from F to E, then you will see the risk reward ratio is more, right? So this is basically meant to track the risk reward ratio live, but we'll go with this. Now, next stock that we'll discuss will be HDFC Bank. I'll see when I get the time to do that. At the same time, I will also find more stocks to discuss. But for today, this was all I had that I wanted to talk to you about. Before I leave, let's also take a quick look at Nifty. So Nifty, if you notice the 75-minute time frame, again, series of multiple positive divergences on the 75-minute time frame are showing up. So I think the market is trying really hard to sustain key levels. So 22,700 is my next key support, and I strongly believe that when the new financial year starts, that is post 31st March, we should see a rally because the downside momentum has definitely become exhausted, and visually you can actually see that. So off the peak, if you see the decline, it has been a lot sharper, but as we come closer, it's become to flatten out. The correction is starting to flatten out, and when you see the upsides, there's a lot of thrust in the upsides, right? Whereas the downside that you're seeing, the corrections are slightly slower now. So I think the market is trying to create a bottom and resume a rally. So keep your eyes out for that, and don't worry, keep stop losses, keep maintaining your risk management, I have identified on my trading view itself, on the RSQM, I have identified a lot of positive divergences which have showed up in the last few days, and I will be assessing them. So, from the list of positive divergences, wherever all the criteria are being met, like a strong underlying trend, um, like volume pickup on the upside, proper trendline analysis, some chart pattern which is showing, indicating stronger reversal, and most importantly, risk reward ratio being more than 3. Wherever I see those kind of setups emerging, I will want to take a position and give a call in the Trade Together program. Speaking of which, I am also going to start the next batch of my advanced swing trade training program. It's starting from March 1st. So if you want to enroll into that, all you need to do is visit my Telegram channel, and in my Telegram channel you will see the information about the program. So this batch is starting from the 1st of March. Like I said, it will be on Saturday and Sunday, 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m., 90 minutes. First 60 minutes will be my lecture, and then last 30 minutes will be for Q&A. The program is designed for people who at least have the basic technical analysis knowledge, because I will not be wasting any time covering basics for anybody. I will not be covering the basics. And it is also suitable for people who want to become full time traders, because in this program, I will tell you about my RSQM model, the relative strength quant model, which basically is the very first step. So, a lot of people ask me, how do you find opportunities? How do you know where to look? There are so many stocks. So, this RSQM model is the answer for that. Then I will teach you about risk management, psychology, so on and so forth. So if you're interested, just go to this website exp-invest.in/learn. exp Invest is my company through which I give swing trading services to retail traders as yourself. And that's pretty much it. Okay, I'm gonna take your leave now. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found the detailed analysis useful. If you have any feedback, feel free to drop your feedback in the comment section below, and as I make more videos for the series itself, I will bring those improvements about. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good trading week.